Welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a game called GP Challenge or Grand Prix Challenge that was released on the PlayStation in the year 2000. This here was actually released more towards the midway point or near the end of the PlayStation's life cycle, and it's actually more of a budget friendly type game. So I remember actually seeing this game actually for sale. You could always get it on the budget shelves. It actually was released under like a budget kind of label or title. Back in those days, certain games, they used to have like the PlayStation, like the Platinum selection. So if a game sold over 1 million copies, the game would automatically be given a Platinum title. But as the PlayStation's life cycle went on, they also started to add in other titles and different variations of that. So you had more budget friendly titles, and a lot of these here it actually allowed a lot of small or independent developers to get their foot in the door to developing games on the console itself, because primarily a lot of the time the PlayStation catalogue was primarily just really around the likes of big AAA based developers, so it was kind of difficult for smaller companies to literally get their foot in the door. But towards the end of the lifespan of the console, that's when a lot of smaller or independent developers started showing an interest and started getting more involved. And you used to see these budget-friendly titles on the likes of the store shelves. You'd always see them because they'd always have a different style of packaging that was unique to that brand. I know that in Japan had a lot of these type of titles, and they had their own specific kind of packaging and brand titles as well. But primarily even in Europe and America, they also had their own variation of that as well. So likes of games like this here, which is Grand Prix Challenge, is based pretty much around like Formula 1, but it wouldn't have as much elements in it in compared to the likes of the bigger branded Formula 1 titles like Formula 1, Formula 1 97, Formula 1 98 and so on. You play primarily just as one car, one driver throughout the course of the entire game. So essentially you're driving like as a Ferrari driver, but you're driving on different types of tracks that are different from the likes of the Formula 1 season. Now it is limited in terms of what it offers, but it is a decent enough game. Graphically it's actually quite good. It plays very differently from the other Formula 1 games if you've ever played them. And for a budget title, it's actually not bad. It is actually fairly decent. It takes a bit of getting used to. The controls can be a little bit sluggish, but it's actually not a bad game when you get the hang of it. So I had a bit of a play around with it, and I never really got to actually play this back in the day, but I do remember seeing it on lots of store shelves. Every time you go into a game shop anywhere, whether if I was travelling around, you'd always see a copy of this somewhere on the shelves, usually within the budget section. And even towards the end of the PlayStation's life cycle, you used to see this even more regularly. It used to be more budget titles that you would see more often than not, and this was one of the games that you would usually see on the store shelves. But it looked decent, and now that I've actually gotten to play it, it actually isn't bad. It is actually a decent game, although there are better games on the platform, I must admit, but I just enjoy racing games anyway, so the way I see it is it's a good opportunity to give them all a go at least. Because I just love the graphical style. I just love everything about the likes of the PlayStation 1 era, as I do mention in a lot of my videos. I just love the graphical style. I love all that 32-bit era of graphics, and I love how that even with independent titles like this, that they can really try to step up the mark, and they really try to push the PlayStation, and that they can actually get really good quality games and good graphical quality games out of the system. They can really push it to its limits and make everything look very realistic, and this is an example of that. Even though there are other games out there that would be bigger and probably better and actually have a lot more to offer, but this game's actually quite unique in its own way. Now for a budget title, it does offer quite a bit, even though it is fairly limited, like I said, compared to other racing games out there. But if you genuinely just want a quick pick up and play game, and if you're into Formula 1, this here is actually a good game to actually play. If you're just looking for a quick playthrough, if you have a few minutes or half an hour to spare, this would be a good one to actually have a look into. One thing to note though is when you actually are playing it, some of the implementations when you're driving and you're trying to start the car up, like show there, it is when you set up the control system to be automatic, it's not fully automatic, because when you start the race you're always in neutral, so you always have to press one of the shoulder buttons, there's an R2, to be able to put the car into first gear, so then you can move. It never automatically does that like what it does with some other games, so that can be a bit annoying, especially if you're just new to these type of games and you're just getting familiar with them. In a lot of ways, a lot of people coming in to play these games want something that's instantly pick up and playable, and that doesn't require much of an effort. And when you get going, it's fine. It's just that initial little niggle sometimes I find to do that with a lot of games, and I don't understand why. And it's not pretty straightforward for a beginner that's new to these type of games to get into, because you can be just left scratching your head, what do you do? I know it's as simple as pressing the button, but a lot of people that don't really play video games or want to get involved in it don't understand that, and it can leave you scratching your head, so that can be a bit of a nuisance. But that's the only real main niggle that I actually found with the game itself. Other than that, from what I played of it, I actually quite enjoyed it. Again, like I said, I do like the graphical style, even though it's not as good or as polished compared to some other games out there that were released on the console. But for a budget title, it actually does work really well, and it does play really good. So if you're looking for like a decent enough game just to play, just like I said, for a quick fix, just for a few minutes to spare, or even if you just want to experience a lot of these games, I would definitely recommend that you give it a go. So that's it for this video of GP Challenge on the PlayStation 1. And what are your thoughts of it? Did you play it back in the day? And if so, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Make sure to share your thoughts down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future videos, and also share the video. And as always, until next time, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them. and make sure to keep those gaming memories alive.